You're not moneyless because your music sucks. You're moneyless because Spotify only pays attention to artists who stack songs. Viral hits fade, but catalogs pay forever. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to legally print money using Spotify by compounding your releases, streams, and recommendations. And no, you don't need to go viral, but you will. Now, if you're tired of uploading songs that get like 400 streams and disappear, I understand where you're coming from. Most artists never really make money from streaming because they don't know what Spotify actually wants so that it works for them. But every platform rewards the same thing, and that's user behavior. This is for artists with great music but no plan, and for those watching their streams go nowhere, just straight up flatline. Once you learn how to trigger Spotify's system, you'll stop seeing streams as pennies and then start using them to bankroll everything else in your operation so that it grows. You know what I'm saying? There was a point where my coaching strategy was releasing 2 albums a year, and though it worked, it left gaps in streams, attention, and income flow. So this wasn't really too cool for my clients. I considered releasing a song every month from the album until its release, but I realized that that would dilute the album's impact if it wasn't full of bangers to support the stuff I already released. So I took some time to study Russ's plan and LaRussell's plans while overlapping them with Master P's release strategy, and I found that they all had the same effect: compounding. Just like compounding interest. And I realized I've been doing the same exact thing with my YouTube all these years as well. It worked for me because of 1 action and 2 reactions. Consistency triggers the algorithm, which results in recommendations. So it's time you get to work. So let's address the consistency first, because consistency creates change. And while most artists think that they should create 1 album at a time or only release singles, like just only play the singles game, that's why you're getting no traction on 2 different fronts. Only releasing albums limits you, and it's also why you get no fan growth when you're only releasing singles. That's outside of Spotify. But I've seen this happen with a few clients where they created a fan base, because you could do this, from singles and covers. But then they left the fans hanging with no album to put a stamp in time to remember the era. You might not think that fans don't want an album, but they do, because they will get tired of those singles. Now, on the flip side, artists I produce for have released albums their fan base loves. They built the fan base off of albums, but then they fail to keep the engagement between the albums. So all of this is empty, right? Relying on the hard album pushes to survive. However, you need both to succeed these days. And you're like, man, Casey, this is a lot of work. I mean, not really. So here's what you need to do. You need to create a release campaign of 1 song a month, every month, until your fan base grows astronomically huge. Just turn the campaign on and keep it on. Now, while campaign 1 is running, you got to create a second campaign for an album release every year at minimum. So we got the singles and we got the album. You know what I'm saying? Now, once you do this, all other streaming platforms will notice people listening. And as you stay consistent, they will recommend your new releases back to those who've already heard, which is your daily mix and your release radar. And then to those who may be interested based on what your audience looks like, to the actual algorithm. That's your Discover Weekly. These 2 actions will create a compounding effect, and then your cash will grow exponentially, provided that your music is actually good and your star quality is on par with that good music. So now we got to talk about what keeps Spotify happy, because most new artists will run to ads to get their music jump started, but it doesn't really start at the ad. It starts at the song itself. Now, just like my YouTube content has to appeal to you to continue watching, the same thing goes for you to continue listening. If the intro of the song, the drums, the bass line, the hook, or the vocals don't capture your attention, you won't stick around. So if I have to hook you in on YouTube constantly, you have to do the same in your music. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing different about it. So here's what you need to do. Create a great hook throughout your music. That could be like the instrumental versions of the hook, the vocal based parts of the hook, whatever it is that you can keep people, the retention in, keep them in there. Put a great mix on the song and use a combination of these things to create retention throughout the entire song so that we listen from start to finish. Once you do this, your skip rate, which would be from 0 to 30 seconds, will decrease, keeping listeners listening, which makes you money. and it keeps Spotify happy because they have more great music to recommend in your genre to keep listeners on the platform. You'll notice how this is the same with all platforms. You see what I'm saying? That's why I keep saying it's no different. So if you're still thinking that 2 albums a year will do, or even 1 album, like, I get it. I used to believe that too, and that used to be what it was. But what you actually need is both singles and albums, as you can see how very beneficial this will be for you. So far, we've covered consistency and what makes Spotify happy, but this next part is what most artists tend to neglect. So stay with me. And as a side note, if you need a strong business foundation to run your record label on, grab my 60-day record label system, complete with my funding partners right now beneath this video to fund some of these Spotify ads that you may need to run with this strategy and this new information that you got right here. Now you need to understand that recommendations are everything. So you put in the effort to create a great song and you reduce your skip rate as much as possible because maybe you learn what people like to hear. However, it's not enough for Spotify to recommend it alone. And that's why your streams are high. But your retention, people coming back a second time, is low. The last push to print your money legally on Spotify is to provide a great listener experience, right? In fact, I self-audit my experiences a lot, and I found that in other listeners as well. A great listening experience with all features intact is what we want from artists on Spotify. And these trigger us to add the song to our like playlist, listen for more than 60 seconds, and eventually follow you as an artist on Spotify and other platforms. So here's what you need to do. You want to create eye-catching artwork and amazing Spotify canvases. And then you want to add a bio, and then you want to add the lyrics to the song and sync them if at all possible. If your song is the asset, your artwork, canvas, bio, and lyrics are the wrappers that make people share it. It's like looking at a bag of chips on the shelf or a candy bar that you know someone should try, and you just grab it for me like, here, have this. And they're looking at the wrapper and they're like, that's what that is. Every layer adds to the compound effect because people don't just listen, they experience. And that's what Spotify promotes, the experience of their users. You see what I'm saying? Now, once this is done, you'll notice people will begin to recommend you to other people, and Spotify will do the same thing. So it will happen in the physical world as well as in the digital world. Now, if you think you can do the bare minimum, you can't because you won't succeed, but it's very simple to do these things. All you need is a phone to shoot and ChatGPT to write a bio for you. You know what I'm saying? Don't make it complicated. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many tools out here to help you get it done. So at least create and plan out the 2 campaigns you're going to put into action, one with the singles and one with the album. Then create some great music with high retention hooking elements in there to keep people listening and to create a great listening experience. The goal is to create compounding streams that pay you every month, and they will, just like it does for YouTube. You know what I mean? However, to get the value you want, you have to give great value to the people. And you have to give the algorithm what it wants as well, which is really just behavioral data of actual real people. The real question isn't should you do this, it's how much longer can you afford not to, now that you understand what you're actually doing this for and how it works. Now, if you need help devising a strategy around this, join our group strategy calls every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time inside of the Music Money Makers community. Click below to join today. The truth is, it's not Spotify, this strategy, or even your low amounts of resources that's the real issue. It's your belief in yourself and the anxiety you have about what people may think about you and your music. But if you never release that music, you'll never know what people like, and you'll never know what they don't like from your music offerings. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need perfect everything. You just need to start with what you got and then watch how far that can take you and then fix it along the way. That's all it is. Now, you're probably going to twiddle your thumbs on this one, or you're going to get active, or you're going to dislike this video and throw tomatoes at me and say there's AI everywhere. But if you don't get active, eventually waiting allows the style of the genre that you're creating music in to change, and your music will become outdated. And this causes frustration and disappointment when nobody is gravitating towards your music, making you second guess whether you're doing it right or not, right? But you are. Everybody has their time and yours is right now. So are you going to move or not? Because at the end of the day, if you were struggling with how to print money legally from Spotify like a cash machine, you now have the information to make it work for you in your favor. It's all about compounding, okay? Music money makers, if you make music, you should always make money. Log on to musicmoneymakeover.com, grab the 60-day record label system beneath this video, complete with funding, join the Music Money Makers community, grab the free stuff, watch this next video right over here so you can save your career, and I'll see you next time. Peace.